Okay, welcome to Lights Camera Barstool. Gooch back from his long trip in Europe. You spent like 3 weeks abroad, dude.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, no, I did. I've never been to Europe, so I was like, if I'm gonna do it, might as well knock out a bunch of because I don't know when I'm gonna go back. I'm a poor.
Yeah. Well, give us the rundown of the trip.
A week in Italy, in Rome. Unbelievable. I mean, I love history, so that was just like that's a dream come true. That was like the highlight of the trip was going to Rome. Um, and obviously the food's amazing, drinking's amazing. And then I went to Paris in between Rome and Barcelona, where I met up with my girlfriend. Paris, beautiful. I fucking hate the French. I hate
They're
them.
the worst,
They're
dude.
the
They're
worst.
the
They
worst.
really just live up to how fucking annoying they are. Like,
Hmm.
just they try so hard. They're like they all try so hard to be cool. Like Dime Square, like the people who hang out in like Dime Square, like Soho
Yeah.
area. Like it's just all of them. Like that's just the whole country.
You try to speak
Ah,
English there, and they act like you insulted everyone in their bloodline, dude. It's crazy
oh
how
yeah.
rude they are.
I'm not speaking their goofy ass language. It's like impossible to speak. It just sounds stupid. And then and then Barcelona was awesome. I mean, just a fucking fun ass time.
You got out of there just in
Beautiful,
time. They have all those videos now of like people like squirting tourists with like water guns and shit.
dude. So we did a food tour the first night we were there, and they like took us like it was like a food tour along with like street art and stuff like that. So we were walking around a bunch. We walked through this like plaza, and there was like big protest going on. We're like, what is that all about? And he's like, hold on, let me figure out. And he's like, oh, actually, they're protesting tourism because
You.
apparently, like, yeah, apparently the government, the government's problem. They just let Airbnb take over their whole city, and push people out. So there's like no like locals like living downtown anymore, and it's made it unaffordable. So I get where they're coming from, but they're just spraying down tourists while they're eating. It's so funny.
Yeah, that was an incredible clip, a couple of clips anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome. Did you do the Da Vinci Code walking tour while you were in Rome?
No, no. Honestly, I've never seen the Da Vinci Code. I've
You
never
never
seen
seen the
it.
original Da Vinci Code?
Nope.
Great
I
book,
remember I remember being like
substandard
a
book.
hater of the book because there was like rumors that the guy had stolen like everything.
Oh, Dan
Uh,
Dan Brown, right? Yeah.
yeah, Dan Brown. There was like rumors that he had just pick stuff from like a bunch of other books and just put it all into his.
I mean, hey, if stolen or not, pretty solid book series. Or at least
I
I
did
think I read the first two. I
I
think.
did speaking of books, I read the Project Hail Mary book.
Hmm.
Very light read from the guy who wrote The Martian. It's the book that Ryan Gosling and Sandra Hüller are going to star in together with the Lord Miller directing a big and Greg Fraser shooting. So big movie coming up. Unbelievable book. It's going to be
Hmm.
such a crowd pleaser. It's The Martian meets Interstellar. It's gonna rule.
Very pumped for that. We do have a couple news things to get to, and then we're going to be doing some reviews. We got reviews for the Bikeriders, for Quiet Place Part 2, for Maxxxine, and then a couple shows that we can catch up on the Bear, House of the Dragon, the Boys, stuff like that. But we could do news first, starting with Captain America: Brave New World dropped their trailer today. I feel like the trailer they were missing. So many people were misinformed on when it was going to drop. It was supposed to drop like a week ago, then yesterday, then a couple days ago, then just like been fucking all over the place.
It's so fun watching all the scoopers miss on it though.
Uh-huh. I totally could not agree more. The trailer I thought was like fine. You get like a little bit of everything. That I think for us as I think we're mostly on the same page. Like we both like Winter Soldier probably like as one of our top
Yeah.
MCU movies. And this definitely feels
Yeah.
more like that than most of the other recent MCU things where the stakes are a little bit lower. It's closer to like an espionage movie, which is good for the MCU to kind of like go back to that. This one directed by Julius Ona, who previously directed the Cloverfield Paradox, which was not good, but Loose, which was very good, I thought. And it was written by the guys that did Falcon the Winter Soldier and the guy who did Operation Finale, which was that was a movie I thought was gonna be way better, but it wasn't. But yeah, get Red Hulk, get a couple other things. Giancarlo Esposito, little glimpse of him.
Yeah.
There's some returning casts from the original Incredible Hulk movie. Tim Blake Nelson and Liv Tyler didn't get a look at them, but got to look at some other people too. Looks fine. I sent just a tweet to you guys making fun of like how the digital backgrounds and stuff and just how they look a little rough, especially now, just after getting all the special effects like getting shit on over recent memory. So, but other than that, it seems okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they released it. I know like the MCU likes to release and start building a hype early. But you know, they don't have anything on the schedule this year outside of Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, there's doesn't really feel like they needed to drop this at this point. The trailer looked good in my opinion,
Yeah, I think it looks
but
solid.
but they have they're very good at cutting trailers like that. They're the biggest studio in the world. They're great at cutting. The Secret Invasion trailer was amazing.
Hmm.
If you remember that trailer. So and it had like the same, like, oh, there's a lot of cool espionage going on here. Got us excited. We're like, maybe they're going back to this. I have trouble really building any opinion about or any hype for the movie off of this. Um, I'm excited to see Anthony Mackie take on the role, and kind of shut people up. Excited for that. Harrison Ford, who knows?
Good for him.
Yeah,
Get that bag. He's getting a
yeah.
shit ton of money for this, no doubt.
Um, Outside of that, though, yeah, no, it's just like it's tough, especially this movie. It's tough to really get a read on like what the fuck this is gonna be within. If you don't know, they went through like I don't know, like 5 reshoots. Like it's
Yeah.
been in reshoot hell forever because of a lot of real world stuff going on.
Israel-Palestine conflict hurt big time for one of the
Yes.
superheroes they're adding in this one.
Oh, Sabra. Israel
Sabra.
does have the right to defense.
Yeah, yeah, that was it. That's really they've had bad timing too, because then the Falcon the Winter Soldier was also about COVID, right? Basically, so they
Yes.
had to redo a lot of that in about COVID. So that was a tough one. So bad
But
for
yeah,
Captain
no, I
America,
mean,
but I don't know. Hopefully it'll be good.
hopefully it'll be good. You know, people are saying that Deadpool and Wolverine's good. Like a definite like crowd pleaser, kind of back to
Yeah,
MCU's roots. Just don't swing too hard. Just make contact. So hopefully
exactly.
that's what they're doing here.
We had the first trailer for Gladiator 2, starring big cast, obviously Paul Mescal as Lucius from the original movie, Connie Nielsen returning as well, Pedro Pascal, Denzel Washington, Joseph Quinn, Fred Hershinger. I always pronounce the name wrong. A couple other people as well.
Yeah.
But I like I think it's Hershinger. He's in like
Yeah.
eighth
Yeah.
grade, a whole bunch of other stuff. Every time I see him, like I like this dude a lot.
White Lotus.
Yeah, White Lotus, a bunch of other stuff. It's obviously Ridley Scott coming back for the sequel. He's been doing like a whole bunch of press tour stuff, which I think has been pretty cool too. Looked awesome. I mean, the big scale CGI stuff looked great, all things considered.
Yeah.
I think the battles look cool. It is very funny that Denzel Washington is just playing like Training Day, but in
Yes.
fucking antiquity. It's very funny. He's like the line delivery he had. He literally did like the SNL like ha ha thing. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very funny. Other than that, though, action looked great. Violence looked cool. The obviously very super stacked cast. Super pumped up for this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, it's not even like a late stage money grab sequel. Like he's wanted to do this since the last one came out. And buddy, I'll be there day one. I'll be there day negative, like a week if I can get that early fan pass. I'm so fucking pumped for this one. Looks awesome. Paul Mescal, jacked out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's always been in good shape, but and I saw like, you know, while they're shooting, he looked bigger, but goddamn on screen, he looks pretty fucking jacked. Pedro Pascal is like the general, love that. And then I think Joe Quinn. I know we've said things about him as the Torch and Fantastic Four, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about him on A Quiet Place Day One. Very good fit, in my opinion, as that sniveling little emperor.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, and what's her face? Connie Nielsen doesn't age, I guess.
Been 20
She
years.
looks
Looks exactly the same. 24 years.
exactly the same.
Fucking crazy. Yeah, but there's actually I don't know if you ever heard about the original Ridley Scott pitch for Gladiator 2.
I think you've told me about it before, but just remind me.
It was going to be essentially Maximus was going to get brought back to life by the Roman gods, and he was going to be helping save early Christians from being killed by the Romans. And then he was going to be fighting through time, like a timeless
Oh, yes, yes,
warrior.
yes.
It was
I
fucking ridiculous. This is way better of an idea, in my opinion.
there's hey, listen, Ridley Scott may never die. There's still time to make that movie.
I was thinking about that too. There's with Ridley Scott, obviously, like he's legendary, had all these great movies, especially throughout the 80s and 90s. Since 2000, I think he's batting about 500. And I wonder if you agree with that. I did like like a little not blog post, I
Okay,
just did
yeah,
like a quick
run through it.
rundown.
I want to see because there's
So
some bad ones that I didn't love on release, but like I respect the fuck out of the movie.
So
That
there
makes
was
sense.
7 where I think in the last 24 years, which I think are good, and then it starts going downhill. The Martian, obviously
Yeah.
amazing. American Gangster, The Last
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Duel, All the
Yeah.
Money in the World, Kingdom of Heaven
Mhm.
director's cut, not the original,
Oh yeah.
director's
Oh yeah.
cut, Prometheus, and then Black
Yes.
Hawk Down. And
Okay.
then
Yeah.
after that we get Napoleon, which
Have you watched the long cut yet?
not yet.
I haven't either. I have a feeling it might be like it might push it into good because that's the
He's
one thing with that movie where I'm like it feels like it's missing like a large chunk.
he's a big director's cut guy and a much better director's cut guy than like
Oh yeah.
Zack Snyder. House of Gucci, not great. Matchstick Men,
Hello.
which fucking Matchstick Men. Body of Lies, Hannibal, A Good Year, Robin Hood, The Counselor,
Oh,
and then Exodus: Gods and Kings. It's it's not good. Like a lot of that back half of stuff. But that top half is still pretty solid. So this is one of those things where like I'm like I think that there's a decent chance for this still to be good, even after like some of the recent ones are kind of like wishy-washy. And I don't know, I'm just excited. It's Ridley Scott. It's tough not to get pumped up for him.
I mean, The Last Duel came out 3 years ago and like obviously hit like infamously bombed like
Yeah,
so hard. It made like what like $1 million its opening weekend with
like
Ben
nothing.
Affleck and Matt Damon. Um, but it was great, and that's like he still has it, is what I'm saying. Like, there's no doubt about it. He still has it.
Yeah.
And this is like he's been there before. This is in his wheelhouse. I think they spent like $300 million making this thing. Um, yeah, no. And did you see the by the way, did you see the track list for this movie?
For Gladiator
Who-
2.
Yeah, who will be on it? So obviously Jay-Z, but then Travis Scott, Metro Boomin, Ice Spice, Lil Yachty,
Uh,
Playboy Cardi, and Post Malone. Yeah.
yeah, that sounds fantastic for Gladiator 2. No, they got rid of like Enya on the end of it.
So so many people were like think that that song is gonna when they watch the trailer, they're like, oh, I can't believe we went from Hans Zimmer to
Yeah.
Jay-Z. What is the score?
It's like it's
It's
just a
like
re
they
it's
never
just
saw a
basically a
trailer
remix.
before.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's the MO of every trailer of all time is like you do a remixed version of some sort of song or reprisal or whatever. It's just how it works. But yeah, I mean, it looks great. Super pumped. You know what's really cool too? I don't know if you've ever seen like behind the scenes of Ridley Scott working is really cool because he basically like he storyboards every single shot. And he's like a legitimately, I think before he was a director, he was an artist. So like he's like
That would
his
make sense.
storyboards are gorgeous. It's beautiful to look at. Next trailer was F1. Sonny Hayes, played by Brad Pitt, is a Formula One driver who raced in the 90s, has a horrible crash which forces him to retire, start racing in other disciplines. Formula One team, Javier Bardem owns it, contacts him and tries to get him out of retirement to mentor a rookie, played by Damson Idris. On the Expensify Apex Grand Prix team, Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Kerry Condon, Tobias Menzies, Javier Bardem, Joseph Kosinski directing, obviously did Top Gun Maverick, and Bruckheimer producing. This trailer, I think instantly, and I think they did this on purpose. You feel a lot of Top Gun Maverick in this trailer
Oh yeah.
for sure. A lot of those
Oh
like
yeah.
cockpit shots and stuff like that. A lot of that zooming, a lot of the practical effect feel of it. And I think that that's awesome. I loved the feel of this trailer, and I feel like we have been very starved for good racing movies. And like especially in recent memory, they had that other F1 one with the
Racer to racist to racer.
yeah,
Race gamer race
gamer to racer,
racist. Yes.
gamer to racer. Yeah, that movie, which is fucking waste of
You
talent
puked
in
on
that
my
movie.
lawn.
So stupid. And a couple other like there's a lot of racing movies that are just not that great. And like other ones that are more technical, like Ford v Ferrari, which don't really feel like they're in that same vein. But this one looks like it's just, hey, straight up, cool racing, practical effects, great cast. Love everything about this. Very excited for F1.
Yeah, I feel like the last like real racing movie we got was like Rush. Like that
Right?
was like 12 years ago. That was a
Pretty
long
long
time
time
ago.
ago.
And I love like I'm not a like F1 guy, NASCAR guy at all, believe it or not. But I love a racing movie. There's something about it, especially in a theater. The speakers just do it justice. Like you feel
Yeah.
like you're in the cockpit. And people were saying the Top Gun Maverick feel to the trailer was a negative. And I was like, what are we talking?
Why?
We all loved, if I remember correctly, we all loved as a country Top Gun Maverick. So why are we pretending like, oh, we're gonna get a racing version of Top Gun Maverick? That sucks. No, that rules. That's awesome.
It's gonna be incredible. That's like
Yeah.
everything about that was good about Top Gun Maverick. If you graft that onto a racing movie, it should be great. Like that high octane, super
Yeah.
like fucking exhilarating feel. That's amazing for a racing movie, and it feels like it's been missing, especially from gamer movie. Oh, can't
That
get over that.
actually wasn't the story was terrible, but the racing in that movie wasn't
It was
bad.
fine. It just
They did
wasn't
some cool
that. It
things.
wasn't exhilarating considering like the.
Yeah, no, it was Blomkamp. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it'd be better than that. The Penguin got moved from HBO to from Max to HBO for its
Yep.
and is going to be doing weekly release. Both of these are very smart things in my opinion. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't be like, oh my God, quality is going to be crazy. But like, you got to assume just because of that move that it's going to be significantly better than originally thought.
Yeah, there's a very clear line of demarcation, which I don't think a lot of the general public has kind of figured out yet, because you just open up the Max app, it's all there. It is not all the same. It is not all the same. There's a lot of really trashy shit on Max.
Hmm.
Thank you, David Zaslav. And so like getting that static on your screen before a TV show, it still means something. It has to still mean something. And so the fact that the Penguin is getting it, fuck yeah. Like especially
Hmm.
week release. Like I hope it's the late Sunday night slot. I would
Yes.
assume that it's going to be the late Sunday night slot.
Yes, super pumped up for that series. And I still think I was so convinced after the Batman when I was watching it. I'm like, that might not even be Colin Farrell. Like I have no fucking clue. That's how transformative that role was for him. That was crazy how good that was. Although I'm trying to think now, was the last HBO thing that Colin Farrell was on, was it True Detective season two? I'm
I
sorry.
think he did that sugar show
That's
that was
Apple
on
TV.
that was Apple TV. Fuck.
I'm trying to think, but
It
that was
might be.
but to be fair though, Colin Farrell was probably the best part of True Detective season two, where he beats up that dude's dad on the lawn. Do you remember that scene? Where like the
No, I
kid
do not
bullies
remember. I do
this
not remember.
kid bullies his kid, so he goes to the bully's house and he's the kid's name is like Aspen, and he's like, "That's your name, Aspen." And then he's like, "Huh?" And the
Okay,
dad
I
comes out,
remember
he
that.
beats the fuck out of the dad, and he's like, "You bully my kid again, I'll come back here and kill your dad." Like it's crazy. But he was the best part of that series. The We Live in Time trailer dropped, cry porn. Upcoming chef and a recent divorcee find their lives forever changed when a close encounter brings them together. A decade spanning, deeply moving romance. If you put deeply moving in your description, I feel like you're shooting for the stars. Uh, Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh, directed by John Crowley, who did Brooklyn and ironically did multiple episodes of season two of True Detective. But they're
Oh,
weird, not great sign, by the way. Again, True Detective
no.
season two, not great. But this is a trailer. You watch it and you're like, hey, if you're in the mood for a good cry, this movie's gonna give it to you.
Yeah, and sometimes you are. Like you
Hmm.
need a good cry movie. Like I'm not opposed to it. I will be there day one for this one.
Wonder why.
This is, I mean, Flo, obviously, but Andrew Garfield too, working together side by side. That feels like a nice pairing. Now I'm surprised they're not bearding for each other in this movie,
Yes.
but they seemed very believable as a couple, and just from the trailer. I really hope she doesn't die at the end. It really feels like it's just like inevitable, like she's just gonna die.
See that shaved head,
Um,
man, and it's like, yep, that's a cancer death right there.
yep. Um, but hopefully not. I don't know. This is a very straightforward movie. It seems like, although the rated R part, the fact that they made it rated R, a little weird, right? Like, it doesn't feel like a
Maybe
movie that really needs a sex scene.
that's what they said about Oppenheimer, and they were wrong.
That's true. I'm become death.
Destroyer of pussy.
It's
Uh,
still the
Time
most
Band.
ridiculous.
That do you remember that those fake reviews that we put out that people still we get quote tweets on. It's crazy. The what do you call it?
Oh yeah, the back
Like the buddy,
shots.
yeah, like the 30 minutes of backshots, and people are like, "There's a 30-minute sex scene in Oppenheimer."
People wouldn't go to the movie see it with their parents because they're like, I can't sit there with my family.
A 30-minute sex scene.
Can't look at
Uh,
Killing Murphy's balls for 10 minutes
that scene where he was sitting there butt ass naked like Leo in
like this.
Aviator. Dude, sassy ass. That was a zesty pose to say the least. Time Bandits dropped their first trailer. Obviously a remake of the old, I want to say it was 80s movie. From some of the Monty Python crew. It was at least like it feels like it was half of them. It's Terry Gilliam, a couple other people. Taika Waititi directing alongside Jermaine Clement. probably the most recognizable name on the cast is Lisa Kudrow. This is a movie where I remember watching it when I was younger, and it is in like maybe off-putting is the right word. It's like it's very odd, and like that's something to do with like that Monty Python like sort of weird, overly
Yeah,
like prosthesis-y feel to some things. Like it kind of feels like that. Uh, I don't know how that will work in a series, and I don't know how that will work with this crew, but to Taika's credit, and he's been maligned heavily over the last like I would say like
overly maligned.
yes, over the past like 3-ish years since like Love and Thunder. When especially when him and Jermaine Clement work together, they typically make very good stuff. And like you go look at What We Do in the Shadows, not just the movie, but the series, which has been amazing. Like they typically do good shit. And I feel like this is like the perfect type of weird for them to be working on together.
Yeah, I actually did not see. I did not see this trailer. I did post it, but the main takeaway I had was Jermaine Clement. Jermaine
Yeah.
Clement, I will tune into anything that guy is in or does. He's just there's something about that New Zealander sensibility just
Yeah.
really appeals to me. I don't know. It's
Flight
like
of
an
the
island of
Concords, baby.
30,000 people, but like, they just seem so goofy. Like just
Yeah.
seems like a nice place to live.
Them and the Aussies, man. They got like this like aura about them that just makes you like you just want to like I don't know, hang out. Like that. It just reminds me of do you remember in the into Shane Gilson we talks about the guy making fun of him for being fat? He's like, "No, it's hat, fatso." It's just like something about that shit just makes me laugh, man. The
Just
Australian
rolls
accent.
right off.
Yeah.
Call me a cunt.
Uh
I don't care.
yeah, exactly. And then lastly, there from news anyway, there's a remake of A Fistful of Dollars in development. Probably the dumbest thing I've heard in a long time. Look, man, there are so many like you can make just any Western you want. It doesn't need to be a remake of A Fistful of Dollars or any of the trilogy. Like it's just nothing about that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Sergio Leone. Everybody's 5 feet under. I wonder what Clint thinks about this. Like, you can't be happy about it. Like, what are we, what are we doing? Why, like,
Uh,
you can't recapture. Also, with the spaghetti westerns, I just think they're a thing that you can't recapture. Like, it's just like the way they were shot, the ADR, like, just the Ennio Morricone like scores. You just can't recapture that. I really think it's impossible. Like, just can't be done. It's
there's
like
been like
Technicolor. But
what
like
one
it's
like maybe one good remake of an old Western, and it was what do you call it, the Coen Brothers?
310 to
Like
Yuma.
I guess yeah,
True
true.
Grit
310.
too.
I guess
Yeah.
310 to Yuma and True Grit. But then like when I'm thinking of the other ones, like they did the Magnificent Seven
Terrible.
garbage. Like it's none of them are really killer other than and like 310 to Yuma was good. I would say really really solid, not great. True Grit I would say is
Mhm.
probably great. The remake. But like, man, I don't know how you do that with Fistful of Dollars. That's just and you can't replace
Yeah,
an
and like
on-screen guy like
and you
Clint in
can't
that
replace
era.
Clint. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you can't replace Clint. Like it's
it's
just one of
impossible to
those
do.
things. Like, what are you gonna do? Go get Scott? Like, and he probably wouldn't do it.
I doubt he would. It's just, and I doubt
Yeah.
he would. His dad would want him to, and nothing about that would work. That just seems dumb to me. Anyway, that's been news. Now we got a few reviews, starting with Bikeriders. After a chance encounter, headstrong Kathy is drawn to Benny, a member of a Midwestern motorcycle club, the Vandals. As the club transforms into a more dangerous world of underworld, it gets into the underworld of violence. Benny must choose. Oh, this cut off the synopsis halfway through. That's why I was like trying to read it, and it just says read all. But yeah, Benny must choose between, I guess, his wife and the club is essentially the rest of that. Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, among others, like Michael Shannon, a couple other guys. Jeff Nichols, who directed it, who did Midnight Special and Mud. This is a movie where I think there's a very clear MVP and star in Jodie Comer, who is a
Oh,
stud.
really?
I think she was really good in this. I think she was really good. Great work in the character, showing us how she kind
Oh,
of
I
becomes
think
part.
I think she's great. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I have a different MVP.
Is it a bad MVP?
No,
Because
it's actually a guy that I've kind of criticized before, as maybe being a little overrated, but I thought he showed out here. I
oh
thought Tom
no,
Hardy was I thought Tom Hardy was a clear MVP. I thought he was fucking unbelievable.
he's my biggest con from this movie was
I
Tom
can, I
Hardy.
can understand why. If the accent doesn't work for you, it does not work for you, but I thought he was incredible.
That the biggest takeaway for me watching this movie was I feel bad. Austin Butler should never have a co-star named Tom again. Is my biggest takeaway. Is between this and Tom Hanks, you doing goofy ass accents. taking away from his
I did.
performance, I would never do it
I'll be
again.
honest. I did think about it like early on. I was like, oh God. But once it settled in for me, I thought Tom Hardy was great. I thought he was as good as he's been in like 5 years.
I didn't like it. But here's the
No,
thing.
no, no.
What are you doing, Benny? What are you doing over here, Benny? It's like,
These young guys, man. They don't respect nothing. But every
ah,
single guy out there, he's trying to be you.
it's just like the goofiest fucking accent, and I just don't get it. But here's the thing. Just to focus on the pros of this movie first.
Yes,
I think
yes, yes. All right.
Again with Jodie Comer, I think if you're looking at a character like her, because this whole movie's about like, this guy having to pick between, like I said, that whole Snups thing. He has to pick between like, his family, his wife, and all this shit, and like this motorcycle club, which is becoming something that coming away from them. And I think if you look at Jodie Comer's character, like kind of like how she gets involved in this world and how she has to like fight with somebody that she loves and something that he has loved before he loved her. Like the whole bunch, it's cool shit. I really like that thing. I think Butler was fine. I don't think he was really the star of this movie. Like he was just
No,
kind of there for the ride, which is
he said like
weird.
10 words the whole
Yeah,
movie.
the whole fucking movie, which is crazy. I think the production value is really cool. Like really gets you like immersed into that
Yeah.
period. And the production and like the bikes, I think were really cool, especially
Oh yeah.
considering like that era. And like we had just seen some really cool bike movies and like Furiosa and all that shit. I think that bikes looked awesome. A lot of stuff to like in this movie. I think the biggest cons for me are really just Hardy with that goofy accent. And there's some cast members that this kind of feels like they were wasted. Like Michael Shannon, that's like a pretty like high tier good actor, has two lines. Mike Faced, like what is
He's
he
just
doing here?
there.
Yeah, he's just kind of there for the ride. A lot of actors here are just here for the ride. It's kind of just like Hardy and Jodie Comer, and like everyone else is just kind of there in the background, like extras almost. And that to me, I feel like is a little bit of waste. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I don't know if I'd recommend this to everybody.
Yeah.
Just not that type of movie.
And that's really how I felt like during the movie too. Like we were just along for the ride. Like it really just never picked up. Like I thought the performances, like everybody was great. Like you said, Jodie Comer, I thought fantastic. Austin Butler, not really given anything to do, but as far as like just being kind of a James Dean character to sit there and be pretty, like he did good. I mean, like he nailed his assignment. Michael Shannon, again, not given much to do, but that scene by the fire, like when he's talking about trying to enlist.
Pinkos.
Yeah, like the college boys with their loafers.
Norman Reedus,
Uh,
solid.
Great. Yeah. Sonny, funny Sonny. I thought everyone was great. The story though, just like it really just never takes off. Like things will just continually happen with no real reset or no reactions to them. Like it'd be like, oh, he just got killed. 30 seconds later, we've moved on past that. Like he's just sitting in a garage drinking a beer.
Hmm.
Um, I think the framing device, the way they set it up, like the Mike Weiss character, if you remove him and you take that interview thing out and you just tell it linearly, like in a linear fashion, way better. Like just way better. I'm not really sure how to like make this better. There's so much I like here, but it just doesn't really ever grip me. I could come up on it at some point, but yeah, like the vibes are great, the performances are great, but something about it, I just didn't love it.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's hard to describe because like maybe like the parts are better than the whole, but like not really. Like I don't know. It's a really hard movie to get a grip on because it is just kind of like it's a vibes movie, I guess. And I agree with you that like I think a
Yeah,
linear fashion and instead of like the retelling would have been done a much better
yeah,
service. It was almost
yeah.
like
I
they're
don't
trying
know.
to do like Goodfellas or something like that.
They were definitely trying to do Goodfellas.
Yeah, and
I
then
don't want to
part of it,
say because then you just start to compare it to Goodfellas, and that's not fair.
yeah, the whole narration thing is just I don't know. But other than that, I think it's a solid movie. Again, not one I would go out of my way to recommend to anybody outside of those who are like interested in maybe like the bike gangs because like there's not a
Cincinnati
performance.
natives.
Cincinnati natives probably love it.
Yeah, no, it was
I'm
shot in Cincinnati.
trying to think of like who else would be into it because like there's not like, hey, you want to see a great performance, go watch Bikeriders. Like not really. Like hey, I really
Yeah,
like
it's not that.
it's not the type of movie. There's not that many things in this. Hey, you want to see great drama, go watch Bikeriders. Not really. Like there's nothing about it that stands out as being excellent. It kind of just does everything okay,
I
okay
don't
to
even know if
good.
there's like a standout scene that like you'd put up on YouTube and go back and rewatch. I don't.
Like the scene that you posted was I laughed out loud at as well.
Yeah, that so funny. No, no, no.
Like Tom Hardy's scene it towards the end, maybe, but not really. Like, I don't fucking know. It's just it's a solid movie that it's difficult to recommend, which I guess makes it worse than I'm trying to make it in my head. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, I'd give this like probably like a high or low, sorry, low 80s or something like that. But like, the fact that like if there's kind of like a listless movie that
Yeah.
doesn't accomplish much, I feel like I have to bump it like closer to like a low 70s. So like probably like 72 for me.
Yeah, like coming out, I wanted to give it like forced or like an 80 coming out, but I was just like, I can't. Like, I just didn't like it that much. Like, I don't think I'll ever rewatch it
Yeah.
ever. And I
Uh,
should want to because like the vibes were there, but I can't sit through that again.
Yeah.
There's no reason to.
Yeah. It'd be kind of pointless. But yeah, that's the Bike Riders. Solid movie. Here's one I think I liked maybe like like slightly more, no, but not by much. Quiet Place Part Two. Quiet Place Part Two, when New York comes under attack from an alien invasion, women and other survivors try to get their way to
No, no,
safety.
no, no, no. No, we are not reviewing the Killian Murphy, Emily Blunt picture.
Oh,
A Quiet
sorry,
Place
sorry,
Part
sorry.
Two.
Not a Quiet Place Part Two. A Quiet Place Day One. My bad. Sorry,
We
not
could do
the
part
which.
two also. I mean, I just rewatched it this week.
Yeah, that's a movie I infamously could not review
Oh
for
yes.
18 months because it was
That
the
was the
last
Jaimin
movie.
Hansu interview, right?
Jaimin Hansu interview, which I saw that movie 2 days before March, I guess like March 12th or something like that. But yeah, Quiet Place Day One. Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, Alex Wolff, Michael Sarnowski, who did Pig, directed it, which is a
Mhm.
wild back-to-back pictures
Yeah.
to be quite frank, because Pig was excellent, one of the best movies of like what 3 years ago now or 2 years ago. Um, this is a movie where like I liked Quiet Place Part One. I remember not as much as Jeffrey Trill. The second one I liked a little bit less. This one I don't know. It's like it looked great. I think Lupita Nyong'o was awesome. There's not much else to it. And I don't feel like I felt the tension like I did in the original or the sequel. And I feel like the
Mhm.
more that we see these creatures, the less scary they get.
Mhm.
And they kind of get like or I guess, yeah, nerfed in that way. Because like right off the bat, like just as soon as they start like, explaining who everyone is, especially Lupita Nyong'o's character, you kind of get an idea of what's going to happen like right from the start.
Yeah.
Like who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. And I think
You put a terminally ill character in a horror movie, it's like
yeah, we
you
know
know
what's going
it's
to go down. And I think like Clemmer described it as pointless, and I think that that's kind of what I felt about it. It was almost kind of like not in the same vein as the Bike Riders, where I'm like I don't really understand like the main. There's not a huge tying bind here. Like it's just like I watched this movie and I'm like, oh, okay, like this hasn't explained anything. This hasn't done anything different. This hasn't. It's just kind of like basically the same shit and in a new location. And like that to me was just kind of I don't know. I didn't really get achieve much out of this. I didn't get very scared. I didn't feel very tense at points. I just was kind of looked at and I'm like, Lupita's doing a good job. Joseph Quinn was doing a better job than I thought he would have done
yeah.
here. And other than that, not much to take away from it.
Yeah. If anything, to the franchise's credit, it is incredibly consistent. Like all three of these movies, if you watched them out of order, like you get the idea, like the premise is there. Somehow the gimmick doesn't really run thin. But like you said, there's just too many of the creatures in this movie. And to quote Jenny Nicholson on Twitter, bringing this point up, you don't have to have strict rules with these creatures, but there has to be some sort of like logic to their auditory responses, and there just isn't.
Hmm.
Like there's it changes constantly. Are they like reacting to ambient noise? Are they not? Why don't the characters just throw bricks all the time at cars to get away? Feels very obvious. And if that's
Live by
not
a
there, it
river.
just gets yeah, it gets very confusing. And then on top of that, like you said, there's nothing new here, and it felt like a big missed opportunity. If you're gonna do it in New York City, like take advantage of that fact. And they do at points, but not really. Like they're just a bunch of big buildings. Like that's they're just big offices, some big apartments, and a subway, and then a
Hmm.
pizza reference. Like they don't really do much to take advantage of like maybe the fucking crazy people in the city. We're the fucking crazy people. Like you know
Yeah.
how they'd be reacting.
Oh yeah.
Um, there's a lot of stuff I think they missed out on. Um, it's still enjoyable, but like you said, it's just more of the same. Especially when I did A Quiet Place Part Two. Then the next day I went and watched day one, and by the third, act, I'm just like, all right, let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah, there's not much to it, and that's kind of like a. I don't know if I would say it's a bummer because the last movie I don't even think did a ton either. It was just again, it's kind of doing the same shit in a new
Yeah,
location, and now the creatures are a little bit more nerfed. And now in this one, I would say there's not like that same like killing stroke as like the ear thing, the earpiece trick that they were doing.
yeah.
Like I don't know, man. It's just I feel like it's kind of suffers. And I was watching an interview that Fede Alvarez did with Ridley Scott about Alien, where he was talking about how like what kind of sucked for some of the directors that had to work on, or I guess like James Cameron and Fincher. It's like the more you see the alien, the less scared you get of it, and the less like mysterious it
Yeah.
comes. And that this movie definitely suffers from that in a big way, I would say.
Mhm.
And it just I don't know. I wasn't scared by it. Well, it didn't feel the tension in the same way that I feel like I wanted to, at least out of the like me, the first one. So, kind
The,
of a
the biggest the biggest scare I had was like I was just worried about the fucking cat the whole movie.
exactly, yeah,
That was
big
kind of a
time.
smart little addition. Like that's what I
Well,
was worried
Frodo,
about.
man,
I was like, is the cat gonna die? Is the cat gonna get
yeah,
them killed?
yeah. But that's Quiet Place, day one. Now I would say that that's like for me, like
I go
a
I
high
go 75.
60s.
I'd go
Yeah, it's
75. I think it's really well made. Like if I hadn't watched the other two and just watched that one, I'd probably like it a
sure.
lot more. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Like
that's weird, right? To evaluate a third movie in an installment like that, like in a bubble, it's good, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is to appeal to
yeah.
existing fans of your franchise too.
Well, I watch my franchises chronologically, so I will be starting with this.
You have to start with that one, yeah. And actually, technically, you could also start with the second one because the second one starts with this day one as well.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I love the opening in the second one.
That was good. That was
That's
probably like the best scene of the whole movie.
yeah, that opening was fucking awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, we're roughly around the same area in Quiet Place. And then another movie that I think was probably disappointing to the two of us, the last one here, Maxine. Man, Maxine. Man, I was so fucking pumped up for this movie. 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxine Mintz finally gets her big break. However, a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Los Angeles. Trail Blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. Mia Goth, Elizabeth Debicki, Lily Collins, Giancarlo Esposito, Kevin Bacon. Man, Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon in this movie. What can you say about him that hasn't been said about Foghorn Leghorn? This movie
That's just my
is
employer. Just my
yeah, I
employer.
say that is my employer, Maxine Mix. Ugh. This movie where we were super pumped for it, obviously because both of us really liked both X and Pearl, both in very good movies, very different movies.
Yeah.
This one I think it was fair to have a higher hype for it because all the returning people. Mia Goth had delivered in Pearl one of the best monologues of the year, like legit, like Oscar worthy, incredible shit. Some really cool tension. And this one's like, hey, we got more money. We had more time to work on it because they had filmed those two movies back to back. Like just thought about it like pretty quickly. They had more time,
Mhm.
more money, bigger cast. Like this is a huge amount of people getting poured into this cast, like and all very talented people. And it's just kind of like it's kind of whatever,
A
man.
mess.
It's kind of like fucking jumbled up like listless shit. And nothing about it captures that same feel as either movie. And again, both of them are like very different. Like X is more of like a traditional horror movie and Pro is more of like anxiety inducing thriller. And like this is just neither of those things. It's just kind of like a
Yeah.
gory, like I saw somebody compare it on Twitter. It's like it feels like they're trying to do like a semi Tarantino to like, but not.
Yeah, they're
And like,
trying to do like a B movie slasher, but they don't
yeah.
ever fully commit to it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's there's nothing about this movie that felt like anything like the either two, but in a bad way. Like he didn't really. I think like Ty West's maybe bit off a bit more than he could chew with this, and I'm just very bummed out by this. And I'm bummed out by some of the cast not really performing up to what I thought the expectations would be at.
Uh,
Like DeBecki, I think it was solid. Giancarlo Esposito kind of just, well, again, like we were saying with
oh,
Bikers,
I thought
oh,
he was kind of bad.
yeah,
He,
that was a weird one, kind of along for the ride. And then Kevin Bacon, man, he was you want to talk about that was an all-time, I think, miscast for that role. What the fuck was that? Bizarro
he's like the big,
performance.
he's like the second biggest character in the whole fucking movie.
Dude, and that fucking Foghorn Leghorn accent really threw me for a loop. But yeah, nothing about this movie is, I think, a huge bummer. I'd give this something somewhere in like the after the first two being like the 80s and 90s, I think, where like I would put this in somewhere in like the mid 60s. I'm hugely
Yeah.
bummed out by Maxine.
I think I'm at like a 50 for this. And honestly, the first two acts I don't think are terrible. I don't think they're terrible. Like they have moments. They catch a little, you know what I mean? Like they can catch a little fire for a second,
Yeah.
catch a little bit of magic, but then it like obviously goes back to just kind of a mess and listless, like you said, like aimless. You're like, where are we? It's a bad script, first off. Like that, I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest problem. It's a very bad script. Like he probably just shouldn't have done this. I think the studio maybe wanted him to do it, or he wanted to do it and prove that he could just do a trilogy. I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like he had a plan for this. I think he wrote down at the top of like wrote on a whiteboard, 80s Hollywood slasher porn star, and then from there, it feels like they just showed up at set and just kind of did stuff. Like
A lot of style
I
over
don't know.
substance for sure.
Yeah. And like the style's kind of good at spots, but not enough. Not nearly enough. Like, oh, the twist, the third act was so bad. Terrible.
Terrible, terrible,
Terrible. And Michelle Monaghan, I love her. She was awful, awful in this
bad.
movie. Bad cast. Like, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking of making her the lead detective on a
Yeah.
homicide case.
Even like
Uh,
Cannavale's, it's like not like
yeah, you're
that should
trying
have
to
been
tell
like
me he couldn't make as an actor?
like fucking Michael Shannon or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like that it's just nothing about that was. I did like some of those lines are funny, like the actor lines with Cannavale,
Yeah.
trying to like be like that shit's kind of funny, but I don't know. Man, that even
Smashing the
feels like kind of out of
nuts.
place. Smashing the nuts of the perv, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Um, I don't know. And like also the soundtrack. I feel like a big whiff.
For the time
That's
period,
like
for especially.
that's a layup. That's a layup. 80 synth, just put it in there. Just pop
Yeah.
it in. Just go like pull the fucking dozen theme, put it in.
Like
I don't know.
literally, yes. That's all they had to do, and they kind of just all whiffs
Yeah.
across the board. No, I think like some of the kills were cool. Like they definitely added a lot more gore, I think, in this one than especially
Yeah.
the previous two, or at least the last one, and then slightly more than X. But it's just this is a huge kind of whiff. I think that the small scale of the other two movies helped a lot, and I think that the second
Yeah.
that there's this big time bitten off more than they could chew sort of a problem here, which is a bummer, but shit happens. Uh, I will still, whenever Ty West makes his next movie, hopefully
Yeah.
not part of not trying to expand this anymore, we'll definitely be tuning in, no question. Same thing with Mia Goth. Like
Oh
Mia
yeah.
Goth has become one of the great scream queens in Hollywood, and like anytime she does it, even if what was that Skarsgård movie she did? With the
Oh, Infinity
faces.
Pool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, even that, like everything she does, she's just incredible, and so still excited for her
Yeah.
regardless of how this kind of. And then she definitely carried this movie in a huge, huge way,
Yeah.
big time. Hey, other than if it wasn't for her, it would be way worse.
I don't even
But
know what
that's
it would be.
Maxine. I don't even know. It would be just a collection of kind of art pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like of where kind of disconnected scenes. It's kind of I don't know. Huge
Speaking of
bummer.
kind of disconnected scenes, you want to talk about the bear?
Let's talk about the Bear. That was next up on the docket. Uh, so the Bear season 3 all dropped on Hulu. I hate, man, dude, especially a show like the Bear. Just release that week to week, dude. Just
Hmm.
release that week to week. Everyone, look at the way people are talking about Game of Thrones. If like if I'm thinking like, what's like the next show that people are like highly obsessed with? Like the Bear was like, I'm not gonna say it's like on Game of Thrones level or whatever. It's not, but like it's like that's a show people talk about a shit ton. Just release that week to week, man.
It might be on House of the Dragon level though. Like it's
That's no, sorry, that's what I mean. Is like on House of the Dragon. I don't think it's on that level because that's like a whole different animal. But like, it's people talk about it a shit ton. Just make it week to week. Let people have a chance to talk about it at work and build up your hype.
yeah.
But season 3 all dropped, and I think that there are 2 good episodes in this season, and then the rest of it was kind of a big bummer to me. Kind of similar.
Okay.
A lot of bummers this week, but I think there are 2 episodes that are really really good in this one. I think that Napkins is the clear number one
Yes.
episode of this season, like no question. And that's what I
That
believe that
that shit
Edebiri
made me
directed.
cry in like the first like 3 minutes. Like
Yeah, and that was
that was
Edebiri's episode, right? That she directed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one was excellent. That was like one of the top episodes of the entire show. The next one, and people disagreed with me. I think that the first episode of the series, I think it was tomorrow. I think the first episode was cool because in the last season, you get a lot of like almost hearsay is the wrong word in this case, but like you get a lot of like background shit on Carmi, but like from other people's point of view. You never see him doing any of this shit. Like you go and
Hmm.
meet Will Poulter in Denmark, and like he tells you about that stuff, but you don't see it. Like you go and meet Olivia
Coleman.
I almost said Cook, Olivia Colman's character, and like she tells you about Carmi, but you don't see it. And like I think that that opening sort of like pastiche of scenes where like they show you they give you like the fill in the gaps of like his journey to the point. I liked it. People really didn't like it, I guess, but I thought it was awesome. I thought it was cool seeing like a lot of like this fill in the gap stuff, especially in this case where they're releasing all the episodes at once. Like if this was a week to week release and that was the first episode,
People would have lost their shit.
it would have been pissed, rightfully so. Not the case here. So, for me, I liked it because then you get to go straight into the next episode, which is obviously like more linear in line with the story. But I thought it was cool. I thought those two episodes are great. I think everything else is. There's one episode where I think it is so far below the standard of the show, and that's Ice Chips, and
God
that's the
damn.
one in
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
delivery room episode. That was one of the most brutal episodes of this show I've ever seen, and that's one where you can kind of tell like Jamie Lee Curtis was so fucking good in Seven Fishes, so good in a measured quantity in that episode, and as part of a bigger crew. This one, they're like, okay, we need to give the sister her episode, we need to give the mom her episode. Let's combine it in this room. It was such a brutal episode, and not in like an intentional way where I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like the tension here, I'm feeling like the anxiety. I'm just bored to fucking tears during that whole episode, and it felt endless. It felt like it would not end. Damn, that
I felt like
one really
somebody
bugged
doing
me.
like stand up. It felt like somebody doing stand up and just bombing.
Yes,
You
exactly,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Like
Great one.
just like they're just like doing like a bit and they just will not come off the fucking bit. Like Jamie Lee Curtis just sit there going, back in my day, I walked myself and she just keeps doing the bit. Just like, can
Yeah.
we please get away from this?
Yeah, and like again, not in like a wow, I'm annoyed with this character or wow, like this is making me feel the
Just
anxiety that she's feeling delivering birth. Just bored.
yeah, just like move the story forward in like we've established this relationship is toxic and unhealthy.
Hmm.
Let's move. Let's go. Let's move forward. I don't know. I would have. Yeah, no, I didn't. People really like that episode too because
You're, I
Jamie
think,
Lee's got shooters like that. Man,
fucking crazy to me. And again, when you come off of episodes, like I think season two had a couple of like really top tier episodes. I think Spoons, one of the all
yeah.
time from the
Oh yeah,
series.
that was my
Seven
favorite
Fishes.
from that season.
Yeah, Spoon, and then Seven Fish is one of the all time from that
Yeah,
season. And then you don't really have any. I would say Napkins is the thing that's it's probably like a top like five ish episode of the show.
yeah,
Probably top. Probably actually, yeah, I would say like it's number five if because like I would have the last two episodes of season one were awesome. Like the long take one of with
yes,
the order machine breaks, that's amazing. And then Carmine's like monologue episode at the last episode of the first season, amazing. Then Fishes, then Spoons, then probably Napkins. But man, this season it feels like in season two a shit ton of things happen, right? Season one, a shit ton of
hmm.
things happen. This season, really nothing happened, and it kind of
Oh no, it's
ends.
all backstory. It's like
Yeah,
all backstory.
it's all backstory, and like nothing happens, nothing progresses, and like you kind of get ended off pretty abruptly, I would say.
Hmm.
And that was kind of a bummer to me. I don't think it's like, wow, this show's derailed, it's ruined, it's gone for it. It's just like kind of a down season compared to the first two. And maybe that's just hard because those first two seasons were that good. But that's yeah, I don't know. So it's closer to like almost like Mando season three, I guess, if I had to put it into comparison to something where I'm like, yeah, this is good. It's just not on the standard of the first two.
It's weird because I think the quality is still great. Like in terms of just people are gonna fucking hate this, but like in terms of like an artistic standpoint, like it's fucking fantastic. Like it's still shot beautifully. Like
Yep.
the acting is the performances are great. Like cinematography, I mean, maybe the best it's ever been. But there's just like the story just doesn't really move forward. And I in a way respect it. Like if you're gonna like you can't keep doing the same thing. And a lot of shows fall into that trap where the boys is airing right now. They think they have to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And it's just not the case. So I respect them for trying to do something different, but it just doesn't fully work. It doesn't.
Mm.
And I think season four is planned. I'm sure they have a lot of like movement and the storyline planned for season four. This is just like a one-off thing they're doing. And they shot them back to back, right? Like these things are
Yes, I believe so.
they're pumping these things out like on a yearly basis, if not quicker. I mean, this is the only show on television who seems to be able to make a season in less than a year. Um, so I respect it, but yeah, it doesn't fully work. Napkins, my favorite. I put Napkins as the top three episode to be honest. I thought that final scene with Mikey, John Bernthal, just He's so fucking good.
Dude,
He's so fucking good.
he steals every scene, dude. He's so good.
You know what I thought of when that scene ended? I was like, I wish I could go back to that underrated actors draft we did and take
Yeah.
him 1-1. Like he's so good. Um, that episode was fantastic, but the rest of the season, yeah, just kind of it's just not much. There's just not much there. Like it's cool to see the backstory,
Hmm.
definitely. It almost feels like season 2.5.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
The
feel like season 3.
I think the facts were all good. But I do think that they lingered on the John Cena one
John Cena. Yeah.
a little bit too long. Like if that was like an in and
Yeah.
out, I think that would have been like really solid, smart thinking. I think they lingered on that on his shit for a little bit too long, and it kind of made it a little too goofy, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But the haunting
Like
concept in general, I thought was funny.
yeah, that is very funny.
Yeah.
Gonna haunt you. You don't know
Yeah.
when.
All the fat cousins
Uh,
all the fat scenes in general. Mikey Madison hysterical. I don't know the guy name of the brother, that actor, but I thought both of them
oh,
super funny as usual. And Meryl's good too.
yeah, there's 12 of them.
Yeah.
Is that what they said? There's like 12 of them.
Yeah. On like one side. But
Uh,
yeah, that's the bear. It feels like a very negative one, but we could talk about a very
no.
positive one now in House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon has been crushing it. I think that we've been getting, I think over the course of the last few episodes, we're on episode 5 now, I think. We've been
5 comes out
getting
Sunday, right?
Fry comes that Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think we've
I'm making
gotten
sure I'm not behind. All right.
yeah. So this season, I think, has been incredible. For the biggest complaint about the first season, I remember when it was coming out, was that like, hey, we're not really getting a lot of shit happening too much. Like it feels like
Mhm.
a lot of setup, and like that was my kind of excitement with the ending of the first season. It was like, hey, look, now this is ultimate, like set the table. Shit's gonna get up and running in season 2, or at least it better, and it really did. Like they picked up really quickly. Everything's going down. I think the acting's been really good this season. Got some good, I think really good visuals, especially in this last episode. Which I forget? Have you seen this last one?
Yeah, I just watched it before I came in.
Yeah. So this last one with the Battle of Rick's Rest was amazing, and that was directed by I believe the same guy that did like all the major great like Battle of the Bastards scenes from Game of Thrones, like all those
Okay.
big scale action ones from the original series. I thought it was incredible, big scale. All the dragons have looked amazing. A lot of the scenes I think have been really well acted, especially like the guy who plays like Aegon is what a perfect sniveling little
Oh
bitch. I
yeah.
hate this. I hate love this
That's
guy. Like,
he's got a
uh,
three name person, but I can't remember what it is.
yeah. But think about it this way for him too, to inherit that sort of spot and be like, well, now this is a zone that's essentially owned by Joffrey, right? And like
Yeah.
that performance. And like the same exact, he's the king of Westeros, same thing, sniveling man child boy. To inherit that and kind of make it your own while kind of doing the same shit is hard. And I think he
Yeah.
does a really good job at it. And everyone else I think has been crushing it. Matt Smith, obviously amazing. Olivia Cook has been really good. Everyone else has been amazing. So we're really loving this season so far.
Yeah, no, it's a great show. I'd say it still just isn't at the level of Game of Thrones, which is really hard to like disconnect that in your head to be like, this isn't season 1 through 5 or season 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones. Just not like can't compare it to that. But it is great. Like it's great. Like it is good television. I'd say there's a lack of the thing that made Thrones really great was like the chess pieces were almost exclusively until later seasons, exclusively the people. This feels like the dragons, there's so many dragons. It takes away a lot of the tension for me and a lot of the intrigue. They feel like nuclear warheads. Just
Hmm.
like who's got them? Who can we take them? Can we get them from the other side? Like there is a lack of consequence and like just somebody getting killed if the other team can steal a dragon. Like, does it even matter if fucking Aegon goes down here? Like, I think them killing Rhaenys and getting the dragons more important. You
Hmm.
know what I
The
mean?
battle of the mewing princes has been very funny
Yeah.
too, between Aemond and Jace. Those two princes, everywhere they look, doing like the full Zoolander like cheekbone clamp, has been just so fucking funny to me.
Dude, I
Uh,
hate all those little brunette kids. I fucking hate them.
yeah, they
They're so useless.
just absolutely pointless kids. But this show has been amazing. Obviously, been super excited for the rest of this, and I know just based on because I read the books a while ago that there's a lot more crazy shit to happen. Like Rook's Rest was one of the best episodes of the series so far, and that's like not even like I would say like a top three moment that we're gonna get out of this like series. So you just keep your eyes peeled, especially for what happens later. I would say, just guessing based on how many episodes are left in this season, what will happen in the rest of the season.
How many episodes are we doing? 8 or are we doing 10?
I forget if it's 8 or 10.
I bet it's like 9. I bet they're gonna do some odd shit. By the
Let's
way, are you team
see.
black or team green?
I've always been Team Black. I'm
Oh, really? Why?
yeah,
What are you wearing those colors for then, brother?
yeah. This is more of like an aquamarine. Uh, season
I
2.
think I might have flipped after this episode.
After this one to the
It,
greens with Kristen Cole.
Kristen Cole's a bitch, but Amond,
Chris,
the aura is just unreal. Dude, he's got unreal aura.
yeah,
Dude, him riding that big old bitch, Vagar, dude,
yeah.
it looks so sick.
Dude, what do you call it? Kristen Cole, though, man, him
And
wearing like him like becoming Hand of the King and wearing it as a
oh,
chain is so funny.
dude,
He's
he's
such a fucking hateable character. That's what makes this show. I think it's getting building up towards the Thrones level. It's like you get a character as hateable as Kristen Cole. That's good shit.
and they just won't let him die either. He
Yeah,
keeps like he's like fucking he's the
keeps
worst.
coming
The
for us.
haircut, that haircut.
Yeah, I've been loving it though. I've been loving just
But
loving getting to hate Kristen Cole.
Eamon just like showing his brother up, just speaking his fucking high Valyrian perfectly, and
Yeah,
Eamon basically being like, "Donde está
and
el
style up with
baño?"
the yeah. The funny thing is though,
Like,
like none of those other fuckers speak High Valyrian or whatever, right? So like, how would they
oh
even know?
yeah,
He could said anything, and they would have no
no, but
idea.
it's like one
Yeah,
of those things where you're like, he's speaking it right. He's
yeah,
not. He's not.
yeah, exactly. Uh, but yeah, House of Dragons been sick, and then lastly, I think we can end on the boys. Have you been catched up? Have you caught up with the boys yet or
No, I
no?
haven't watched a single episode.
So,
I've
so the boys is weird because the first couple episodes, I was just like, we've kind of reached my limit in how much I'm willing to do this dance because the boys has been now 4 seasons of the same rivalry that it's
yeah.
almost like it's like watching like an ant or like fight a nuclear warhead or some shit. You know what I mean? Where it's just like at
Yeah.
what point? Because like the beginning of this series, it's there's more attention to it because like Homelander's so interested in his appearance. With Vought, he's controlled all these things. Like he can't just go and fucking murder everybody. But now,
Hmm.
like as those restraints have come off, I'm more just like, why is this even a thing anymore? Why is he not just going fucking murder these people? And that has definitely been like an overhang, I would say, on this season. But it's definitely gotten way better and funnier as the episodes went on. There's a big episode, I want to say it was the third one in that everyone, or maybe it's the fourth one, that everyone's like, holy shit, they're back. And it was definitely like a they're back type of episode. And then the last one with Tech Knight was very, very funny. Or 2 ones ago, I guess now with Tech Knight was very, very funny. With the guy, I forget the actor's name, but it was in Future Man. He's hysterical. But there was that one I think was very funny. So 2 really good episodes of the season. It's definitely still, I'm at this point with the show, and you had predicted this, I think, too, where it's just we're doing the same shit. We're starting to become what we parody,
Yeah.
and that part's become frustrating.
Yeah, especially in the I don't know if Amazon's doing it on purpose, but their marketing is basically like exactly what the boys makes fun of in the show. Like the way they market the show is just so they've I don't know, it's so weird. It used to be great, but I don't know. It's weird. I'll get around to watching it. I'm not like against watching the show has a very high production value, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And the characters are fun and it's an enjoyable show to watch. But yeah, it's like getting into like late Family Guy season territory where it's like you can only watch so much. Family Guy's great in doses, but you watch 5 episodes, you've seen them all. It's
Yeah.
what it's starting to feel like with the boys.
And even then, at least they can go and do like everything else that they
And I
want
like
to do.
Gen V so much, and I was like, I thought the writing was
Mhm.
so much better in Gen V, where it's like I really wish the boys would take some notes there. Just
Yeah.
kind of
And you get some Gen V ties with this season too, which is nice. At least
oh
from a
nice.
connectivity standpoint. But yeah, I like it. I just I don't know. It's lost a little bit of juice as far as Homelander has developed. And Anthony Starr is still killing it. It's been absolutely incredible this whole season.
Yeah.
But it's just we're I feel like we're approaching a point where it's like why this shouldn't be a rivalry anymore. Like this shouldn't be like the boys versus Homelander, like because Homelander's shackles are gone, and he should just be like, well, fuck you, I'm just gonna laser you to death forever, and then we're done
Yeah.
because he's killing everybody else. Everybody else is dying. He's just, anyone who's against him, he just murders. But for some reason, he just like tolerates the boys, and it doesn't make sense. But yeah, so that's the boys. Trying to think of what else. If you've been watching, I watched Beverly Hills Cop XLF. It was solid for late
Haven't
sequel.
seen that.
Yeah, it's all right. If your dad's a fan of Beverly Hills Cop, he probably love it. Like
I'm
I can't
seeing
think of
Long
what
Legs right after this.
long legs. I'm so fucking stupid, dude. I last Tuesday, I thought I was going to the screener of it. So I go to the studio or the screening room, and then I realized that it was for this Tuesday, which I
Oh,
couldn't make. And it was because I would go to the screening room and they could let me in. Like the guy like lets me in, and I walk in the screening room. I'm like fucking like Will Smith and Full House. I'm just like, where is everybody? Should be a packed ass screening, nobody here. Then I realized I fucked it up and I was in the wrong one. So I missed that. I'm
damn.
gonna watch it with the rest of the proletariat or the people later. Try to think of what else. I watched that Space Cadet movie with Emma Roberts. It's so fucking unbearably bad. That is, especially after like I saw her comments, right, where she's like, why are we taking the shit so serious? It's like, movie stinks.
She's the worst. She's the
It,
worst.
she
She's the
like
worst.
becomes so unbearable. It's like this shit just stinks. You make a bad movie, people are gonna shit on it. Like just the way of the world. It was that one was bad. Try to think what else we've been watching. Any other TV shows or anything you've been watching?
I watched episode 1 last night of the new season of My Adventures with Superman. Just a very enjoyable show. Very, very
I
much gets the Superman character. It's fun.
I got a screener from Amazon from something with Batman.
Oh, that's definitely the new Caped Crusader series.
Yeah, that was it. I got it and I haven't watched it yet, but I saw that I got the screeners for it.
It looks good.
Yeah, I'll be down for that.
I mean, it's
Uh
just the Batman the animated series just kind of rebooted.
Oh, love that. But we'll have for next week we'll have long legs because everyone their marketing
Yeah,
campaign for that has been tremendous. They've been doing a great.
yeah, which
Neon's been doing an awesome job.
makes me a little hesitant about these reviews. Kind of came out. You know what I mean? They just
I
kind of
hear you.
came out of nowhere. Um,
I hear you.
like all
Trust
of a
me.
sudden, I get back from Europe and everyone's saying Long Legs. I see all these reviews that say Long Legs is like the horror movie of the past 10 years. I'm like, I don't know. I think they just really need people at the theaters right now.
Yeah,
So
especially if
I also
Horizon.
haven't seen a trailer either.
I
I have no
don't.
idea what this fucking
I don't want
movie's
to
about.
watch anything else about it other than what I've already seen, which is I would
I've
say
heard it's
minimal
like I've heard it's kind of in the vein of Seven, Silence of the Lambs,
for sure.
horror, like mixed in with horror. So like that's enough for me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of yeah, Horizon bombed. By the way, I'm sure the reviews
Oh, I
are.
need to see that so bad.
Yeah, that
I
that
need to
that
see it.
bombed hard. We have Fly Me to the Moon coming out today, I think. Yeah. Sing Sing, which is apparently amazing. Like that's like an Oscar contender. With Coleman Domingo.
Oh yeah.
What else we got coming out soon? Twister's coming out soon. I saw,
Hell yeah.
I saw
Next
some
week.
clip of, yeah, I saw a clip of Lee Isaac Chung. They asked him like, what was the strategy in having Glenn Powell in a wet T-shirt, wet white T-shirt? He's like, I don't know. I thought it'd be evocative. It's like, damn right. You get it,
Damn
Lee
right.
Isaac Chung.
If you
You
feel
understand it.
it, ride it.
Chase it, or oh, that was Chase It.
Oh yeah.
Was it
If
Ride
you
It? I
feel
might
it,
have fucked it up.
chase it. Or wait,
I
no.
think
And
you
then
were
he
right.
says no. Then he says, you don't face your fears, you ride them.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I rewatched Twister the other day to try and like prep up for it. It is not as good
Yeah, I
as I
need to.
remember.
Yeah, I started it. I've never seen it, and I was struggling through the first 30 minutes. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
And it's weird too, because I feel like that really kicked off all the natural disaster movies that came after that. Like Day After Tomorrow, the volcano movies, the hurricane movies, like all that shit came out. Perfect Storm, like all those came, I feel like,
Hmm.
right after this. Maybe it's because it like I think it was like the second highest grossing movie, the of like
The opening
90s.
scene's crazy.
Yeah,
That opening scene is nuts. That
just
would have blown
flying
my
hard.
mind if I was like 7 years old and saw that in theaters as a kid. I would have
So
never gone outside again.
the first time I saw it, I was probably like 10 or 11, like not in theaters, but like as a kid. And then I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is cool. And this is the first time, this is like last week I'd seen it since then. And yeah, it does not hold up as well as I hoped it would, but still, there's a lot of redeemable stuff. Philip Seymour Hoffman crushing it as always. A couple other actors in that are
Yeah.
doing well. I think like Todd Field is in it. Crazy.
What? The director?
Yeah, yeah, he's like a character in it. It's crazy. Uh, Instigator is coming out in a few weeks ago on Deadpool and Wolverine. But yeah, I think for next week we will do
Yeah.
Long Legs.
Yeah. We got to do long legs.
Fly Me to the Moon. Maybe been hearing okay things about it.
No one's seen that movie. No,
Yeah, you're right.
no one's seen that movie. I thought it was direct to streaming. I thought it was an Apple TV movie
You thought
until like 2 days ago. And
you
then
thought
I saw
Channing
the
Tatum's going straight to streaming?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah.
His other movie looks pretty cool. The one with Zoe Kravitz directed.
Oh yeah.
Are you having fun
He's been casting a bunch of people in that. Yeah, yeah. So, or wait, no. What's the other one that is it?
with it's like Are You Having Fun, isn't it?
It's some.
It's
Yeah, I
the
think you're
horror
right.
movie where he's like a billionaire and it's got
Yeah.
what's her face? That was amazing in that horror Talk to Me last year. Naomi.
Yeah, I forget her name, but she was really good.
Yeah.
But we'll do
Yeah.
Long Legs next week, and that'll be a fun one. Osgood Perkins, all those good folks. And very excited to
Hell
see if it
yeah.
lives up to the hype. So, but until then, we will see you guys next week.